Today on The Explainer, we're diving into one of the biggest questions there is. We're about to go on this incredible 4 billion-year journey from that very first spark of life all the way to the complex inner world of your own mind. How does simple, non-living stuff organize itself into something that perceives, that remembers, and ultimately becomes aware of itself? That's what we're tackling. So here's the plan. We'll start with the molecule that got this whole thing started. Then we'll check out the amazing social lives of bacteria. Yes, bacteria. After that, we'll see how life itself stores memory across vast stretches of time. Then we'll get personal, exploring how your brain builds your reality. And finally, we'll zoom way, way out to see how all of this fits into the grand cosmic story. All right, let's jump in. We're starting our story way back on the early Earth. And right away, we hit this classic chicken and egg problem. See, for life to exist, you need DNA to hold all the blueprints, but you also need proteins to actually do the work, to build things and make copies. So, which came first? It's a real head-scratcher. And this is really the heart of the puzzle. Think of it like this. DNA is a library full of priceless blueprints, but I can't do anything with them. Proteins, on the other hand, they're like master builders. They can construct anything, but they don't have the plans. It feels like a total paradox, right? But what if there was another way? A single molecule that could do both jobs. And that's where the leading theory comes in, the RNA world hypothesis. This idea suggests that RNA, which is kind of like DNA's chemical cousin, was the real star of the show at the beginning. It's like a molecular Swiss Army knife. It can store genetic info like DNA, but it can also fold itself up into complex shapes and get things done, just like a protein.
And hey, this isn't just a cool idea anymore. Scientists have actually built RNA enzymes in the lab that can copy themselves over and over indefinitely. You can see how it works here. A single strand of RNA becomes a template, it grabs the right building blocks from its surroundings, and boom, a new complementary strand is born. This simple cycle, this is the very engine of heredity, the beginning of biological information.
Okay, so you've got this self-copying molecule. But it needs a container, right? A safe place to do its thing. And it turns out the early Earth itself might have provided the perfect little homes. Researchers found that simple clay minerals, literally clay, can act as these incredible catalysts. They can spontaneously organize fatty acids into tiny bubbles, or vesicles, and these bubbles could then trap the RNA inside, creating the very first really primitive protocells. And that is just the whole ballgame. As scientist Gerald Joyce put it, this is the moment where molecular information became, well, immortal. The journey from simple, dumb chemistry to thinking, living biology, it had officially begun. So this immortal information, it allowed life to get more and more complex. And this leads us to something that might surprise you. We tend to think of bacteria as these simple, lonely little things drifting around, but that couldn't be further from the truth. They're actually incredibly social. Yeah, forget that image of the lonely microbe. Most bacteria live in these massive, organized cities called biofilms. That plaque on your teeth, that's a biofilm. In these communities, you've got billions of cells all working together, sharing jobs and fighting off threats as a team. But to pull that off, to coordinate on such a massive scale, they have to be able to talk to each other. And this is where it gets absolutely wild. Biologist Gürel Sewell discovered that bacteria in these biofilms communicate using electrical signals. They send waves of charged potassium ions back and forth. Now, okay, it's not nearly as fast as a neuron firing in your brain, but the basic math, the principle behind it, it's exactly the same. It's like a really ancient version of the same electrical language that's powering your thoughts right now.
This microbial brain lets these huge colonies act like a single organism. For instance, if the cells deep inside a biofilm start to starve, they send out an electrical SOS to the cells on the edge, telling them, hey, stop growing, let the food flow in here. Two totally separate biofilms can even use these signals to share food, taking turns so they both get what they need. It's amazing.
So this isn't just some weird, quirky thing bacteria do. As Ned Wingreen at Princeton says, this is a whole new mode of communication we're just now understanding. It really suggests that talking with electricity is an ancient, fundamental language of life, one that started billions of years before the first brain ever showed up. Okay, so life can communicate in the moment, but it also has this profound ability to remember its past and to pass those memories down. And I don't just mean behaviors. I mean, this memory is physically written into our biology. I mean, just look at our own DNA. It's a living history book. Our ancient ancestors, just like chimps today, had 48 chromosomes. But then, as you can see on this timeline, something dramatic happened. 2 of those ancestral chromosomes fused together, creating what we now call human chromosome 2. That left us with 46, and it set our species on a totally new path. And get this isn't just ancient history. The process is still happening. A man was recently discovered with 44 chromosomes, a living, breathing echo of our own evolutionary story. But the memory isn't just in the DNA code itself. There's this whole other layer of information called epigenetics. The best way to think about it is like little sticky notes placed on the pages of the DNA book. They tell your genes when to turn on and when to stay quiet. And these marks, they can actually be changed by what an organism experiences in its life. And here's the kicker. Those epigenetic sticky notes can be passed down. In this incredible study, scientists changed one of these marks in the sperm of tiny worms. And it didn't just affect their kids, the change was passed on again to the next generation, the grand offspring. This means that what happens to you in your life can leave a real, physical imprint on your descendants for generations. So you've got this long, long chain of inherited information, from molecules to microbes to our own DNA, and all of it brings us to the most intimate subject of all, your personal experience of being, well, you. How does all this biology create the feeling of being alive right here, right now? Well, according to neuroscientist Anil Seth, we kind of have to flip our whole idea of perception on its head. Your brain doesn't see the world directly. I mean, think about it. It's locked inside a dark, silent skull. All it gets are these streams of electrical signals from your senses. So perception isn't like looking through a window. It's an active, creative process. It's your brain's best guess about what's causing those signals. The rubber hand illusion is a perfect example of this. Your brain sees a fake hand being stroked at the same time it feels your real hand being stroked. Faced with this conflicting but matching information, the brain just makes a new best guess. Hey, I guess that rubber hand must be mine. This shows that even our most basic sense of self, what's part of our body and what's not, isn't a solid fact. It's a perception, a story our brain tells itself, and it's constantly being updated. So why does the brain do all this? Because this whole predictive, guessing game is tied to the most basic biological command of all: stay alive. Our perceptions of the world, and even our perception of ourselves, are all shaped by this deep, ancient need to keep our bodies going. As Anil Seth puts it so beautifully, we are part of and not apart from the rest of nature. So we've gone from a single molecule all the way to the human mind. For our last step, let's just zoom all the way out and see how this incredible story might fit into the biggest context there is: the universe itself. Now, the standard story we're all taught is the Big Bang model, a single starting point, and a linear journey forward in time. But there are other ideas out there, models that even Einstein himself considered, like the cyclic model. This model proposes that the universe isn't a one-time thing. Instead, it goes through these infinite cycles of expansion and contraction. A Big Bang, followed by a big crunch, which then seeds the next Big Bang. An eternal cosmic pulse. So where does this incredible journey leave us? What does it all mean? It shows us that life, in a way, is the universe becoming aware of itself. From a single molecule learning how to make a copy, to microbes learning to talk to each other, to memory being passed down through generations, to a mind that can build a model of the entire world. You aren't just watching this story unfold, you are an active part of it. You are its continuation. And if we are part of this grand, creative, natural cycle, then the end of our own individual awareness, well, it's not a final stop. It's more like a return, a dissolving back into the very process that created us in the first place. And in that great unfolding, there's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing at all.